Salam sejahtera, Anda bersama saya Rizal Zulkafli dan ini Niaga Awani. Kita mulakan dengan perkembangan unjuran pasaran dalam negara. Urus niaga di Bursa Malaysia dijangka tinggi minggu ini dirangsang program vaksinasi Malaysia yang akan bermula pada Rabu ini. Menurut ahli ekonomi Bank Islam Malaysia Berhad Adam Muhammad Rahim, jangkaan itu akan kekal sekiranya program vaksinasi berjalan lancar.
Menurut beliau, pelabur dijangka mempunyai minat risiko yang meningkat terhadap ekuiti tempatan dan aktiviti urus niaga dijangka meningkat minggu ini. Pada Ahad, Menteri Penyelaras Program Imunisasi COVID-19 Kebangsaan, Khairi Jamaluddin, umum program imunisasi COVID-19 Kebangsaan yang dijadual bermula 26 Februari ini akan diawalkan kepada 24 Februari. Malaysia kini menyertai komuniti global dalam program vaksinasi susulan ketibaan kumpulan pertama vaksin Pfizer BioNTech pada Ahad. Sementara itu, ringgit dijangka meneruskan momentum positifnya berbanding dolar Amerika pada minggu ini didorong prospek ekonomi global yang bertambah baik. Menurut laporan bernama yang memetik Ketua Strategi Pasaran Global XZ, Stephen Ines, peningkatan hasil bond perbendaharaan Amerika juga diunjur tidak bertahan lama. Ini dijangka memberi sokongan kepada pergerakan ringgit. Menurutnya, faktor pendorong lain adalah harga minyak mentah yang kekal kukuh dengan keadaan musim sejuk melampau yang melanda Texas pada masa ini. Dalam semakan akhir, harga minyak mentah kekal kukuh di paras $62.9 setong. Ines juga unjur ringgit akan menguji paras 4.0350 berbanding dolar Amerika pada minggu ini.
Dan seterusnya, kontrak niaga hadapan minyak sawit mentah MSM di Bursa Malaysia Derivatives dijangka mengalami dagangan suram pada minggu ini. Harga dijangka berada dalam jajaran kecil di antara RM3,450 dan RM3,750 satu tan.
Menurut peniaga minyak sawit David Ng yang dipetik bernama, prestasi MSM dijangka sedikit negatif susulan jangkaan data ekspor yang lembap. Mengikut perkeliling yang dipaparkan di laman web Lembaga Minyak Sawit Malaysia pada Khamis selepas, Jabatan Kastam Diraja Malaysia berkata cukai ekspor MSM dikekalkan pada 8% bagi Mac 2021 bagi nilai RM3,977.36 satu tan. Pada harga rujukan ini, duti yang perlu dibayar adalah RM318.19 satu tan atau $78.88 Amerika satu tan. Minggu lepas, pasaran diniagakan kebanyakannya tinggi menjejaki prestasi harga minyak kacang soya yang lebih baik di Lembaga Perdagangan Chicago serta data ekspor yang lebih kukuh.
Dan untuk melihat kepada unjuran pasaran pada minggu ini dan juga bagaimana vaksin pengaruhi dagangan di Bursa Malaysia dan juga ringgit, kita bersama dengan Stephen Ines, Ketua Strategi Pasaran Global XZ yang bersama kita menerusi Skype dari Bangkok. Stephen, Malaysia received its first batch of COVID-19 vaccines yesterday. We're starting our national immunization program this week, a few days earlier than initially scheduled. How will investors react to this?
I think favorably. We've seen that pretty much resonate globally as vaccines roll out, but other countries are rolling out equally well. And this is the thing, is that the growth narratives here are starting to catch up with everyone who's rolling out vaccines, and this is a positive thing for the overall global environment. So we may shift from those idiosyncratic moves where we've seen perhaps China leading the charge to a lot of countries catching up now that the vaccines are rolling out. Look, it's still a long ways away before we reach herd immunity, but every little step counts on the way to this recovery, and everything will be looked at positively, and this is a good thing at the end of the day.
But will we see perhaps certain sectors benefiting from this new development?
The servicing sectors are the ones that have been beaten down the most, and this is the direct result of people either, one, feeling unsafe about going out and eating, or two, the MCO orders are likely a combination of both, and this is basically what it comes down to. Once the vaccine starts to work its way through, MC orders get lifted to a higher degree. This allows people to sort of relax a little bit more when they go out to their local restaurants. This is a great thing, and I think these are the sectors that are going to immediately benefit the most. Of course, we have to look at the global immunization factor, which is hopefully, fingers crossed, is going to open up the travel sectors. Now, this is really what's needed in the region. We know Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam depend on a lot on travel. And until that really reopens, I think to a large degree, servicing industries, retail sectors will still weigh negatively a little bit, because they really need that foreign consumer demand, even from Singapore, even people coming in from China. These are all really important vehicles for the retail side to pick up.
And how will this affect ringgit for this week and the next few weeks?
The ringgit and most currency markets are really getting driven by the shifting dynamics in global yields. So right now, last week we saw the dollar gain right out of the gates because U.S. yields rose. But what we're seeing now is a global yield rise because of the reflation impulse. So it's a little bit neutral right now. We're starting to see global yields catch up. And again, it defers back to the growth narrative, where right now it seems that everybody's sort of on an even keel right now. It's almost like we're starting the currency market race all over again. So it's still a little bit uncertain which way it goes. However, what we have to be very, very cognizant of is that while we're repricing the U.S. rate curve 2 years and beyond, there's a gap here between now and that 2-year level where the market hasn't really aggressively repriced the Fed funds rates. If the U.S. does start to pick up on the employment part, markets are going to start to reprice that Fed rate curve a lot closer to liftoff, and that could drive the dollar higher. This is what we ultimately have to keep our eye on, how quickly the market reprices Fed rates sooner. Right now, they've already priced in a terminal rate of about 2.5, which is in line with the natural, the neutral rate that the Fed sees. But if that becomes a little bit quicker paced in, I think the U.S. dollar strengthens.
But you also mentioned during an interview with Bernama that the rise in U.S. yields will likely pause. Well, how so?
Yeah, it gets to a point where the market has to sit back and relax. I think what we're seeing right now is a repricing of inflation expectations. We really need the economic data to play catch up. Now, the market's running on an assumption here that the economic data is going to catch up. My thought here is that until we see that economic data actually catch up, the yield curve could pause, although we're still waiting for that to happen. It looks like they're moving up a little bit, but I don't think we're going to see the aggressive rate rise. Look, we have 20 basis points packed in a week. I don't think we're going to see that aggressive rate rise this week, and I think this is going to allow other currencies, like the Malaysian ringgit, to breathe a little bit easier and perhaps trade on a little bit more stronger bias this week.
And Stephen, oil is now traded around $62 per barrel. How will this impact ringgit?
Well, it's interesting because that's very favorable for government coffers. Remember, the budget's predicated on $40, $45 per Brent, and that's considerably lower. And that means the government's in a better fiscal position because of higher oil prices. This is really good. It looks like the market, despite the day after effect, the Texas storm surge and prices abating somewhat because the warmer weather's coming back to Texas. But we see oil trading quite well this morning. It still remains quite buoyant, and this is basically a result of improving global demand, vaccines getting rolled out, and improving economic data globally. And this continues to bolster oil prices over the short term.
But if we take out the Texas factor, will oil retract so much? Will the price retract so much?
I don't believe so. I think the market's really in look-through mode right now. I think that got us to an area in oil prices that we were going to get to only a little bit quicker. It's going to take a little bit a while for things to normalize. It doesn't just normalize overnight. Well, is going to start producing again, but it's the refining capacities that tend to kick up a lot slower, and that's the problem because that'll put less oil and less heating oil, and it'll also put less gasoline into the production, and this keeps those sectors of the oil prices elevated. Very similar to what we see in a hurricane effect. Things don't normalize instantly. That's the misnomer here. Things take a little bit longer to normalize, and I think that's what we're seeing price out in oil prices right now.
We have two key announcements this week, the U.S. GDP fourth quarter year-on-year and the CB Consumer Confidence Index in the U.S. In January, the U.S. Announced that the GDP increased at an annual rate of 4.0% in the fourth quarter of 2020. What can we expect from these two announcements, especially the U.S. GDP fourth quarter year-on-year?
I think GDPs globally have surprised to the upside. Now, I don't see why backyards activity in the U.S. has been any less active than what it has been throughout the world. So I would expect the U.S. to come in with a relatively solid GDP forecast. And that's just a simple fact that, consumers are still buying. And they're buying a lot at home, and this is a good thing right now for the U.S. economy. So it should resonate quite well, in line with the rest of the globe, which continues to surprise. Look, we had surprise GDP lifts off from the UK. Arguably, the UK is in one of the worst situations as far as lockdowns. Similar to Japan, they also surprised. So I don't think the US will be any different. I think the surprise upside on this one.
And what other announcements perhaps investors waiting for this week?
I'm just trying to figure out how we go through this week with the emphasis so much on yields and inflation. I think economic data, all sorts of economic data, are going to be extremely important. But what I'm continuing to look at is just the continuation of the rollout of the vaccines. This is the real thing, with a big focus on the timeline for Boris Johnson in the UK is going to announce something either today or tomorrow. I want to see what he's saying. I mean, I'm hoping to come out with a really constructive plan that can sort of be extrapolated across Europe in a sense. So that's one of the key things that I'm going to be watching this week.
And Stephen, Bitcoin gained around about 20% last week to a record high of about $58,000 per unit. It has surged around 100% this year. Tell us more about this. What's happening there?
It looks like there's a lot of discussions at the boardroom level. This is the way I'm interpreting the move right now, how Bitcoin can be part of a global, part of a corporate balance sheet. So I think looking at what Tesla did there buy Bitcoin a couple of weeks ago is actually, they've actually profited more from Bitcoin than the sale of cars. So that's something to be said. So I think it's opening up a lot of eyes in the corporate world. Corporate starts to embrace, they won't be buying futures, they'll actually be buying physical coins. And guess there's a finite supply out there, and the thought is here, if corporates start coming into that Bitcoin world, it's going to raise prices quite significantly. I think ultimately, because the way this is transforming, whether you like it or not, you have to take a look at it and probably have to put some on your balance sheet as a hedge. And this is going to continue to support Bitcoin over the next little while.
On that note, thank you very much, Stephen, for joining us this morning. Stephen Ines, Ketua Strategi Pasaran Global XC, membincangkan berkenaan dengan unjuran pasaran serta bagaimana vaksin pengaruhi bursa dan juga ringgit untuk minggu ini. Kita akan berhenti berehat seketika, kembali selepas ini.